Hello and welcome to this episode of The Agency Show. I'm Yash, your host, and joining me today is Ty, who is the founder of Agency Empire. Agency Empire is an ecosystem with the aim of helping thousands of agency owners zoom past $50,000 per month in revenue. Agency Empires offers top secret growth tactics through masterclasses, opportunity to build a network of powerful agency owners, and helps you save on your software stack through exclusive discounts. It gives me immense pleasure and pride to say that Clientjoy is also going to be available on Agency Empire soon as well. Today, Ty is joining me to talk about how he used cold emails to zoom past $50,000 per month in agency revenue. But before we talk about that, I actually want to celebrate one of the firsts for this podcast. We've never had an Emmy Award winner on here, and I'm so excited. And so thank you, Ty, for taking up the time and joining us on the agency show today. How are you doing today?
Dude, Yash, thank you so much, man. I woke up 15 minutes ago, so I'm getting my legs under me, but it's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, awesome. And so before I start with the questions and just for the benefit of our audience, what I'm also going to do is wherever you're listening to this or watching this, you'll see Ty's LinkedIn profile and Agency Empire's link in the description. So I highly recommend you check those out. And while you do that, there are a couple of interesting things that you'll find. And so before we start the question, here are a couple of things that some of the people who worked with Ty have had to say about him, right? And here that goes. The first one, Ty is the heavyweight champ of growing and scaling service-based businesses, says Kyrie Oliver, who's cleared over 100 million in Facebook ads for his clients. Second, Ty is ambitious and smart. Give him a goal and get out of his way. I think you'll be quite impressed by what he can help you to achieve on a reasonable timeline. Shane Hunter, genius marketer who's worked with Frank Kern and Ben Setter. Third one, Ty, all your content on systems and getting clients has helped me take my agency to $37,000 in revenue and 8 clients. Sean Longden, 37,000 per month agency owner, right? And so before we start on our topic and have a conversation around how cold emails can help you agency owners go beyond $50,000 per month in revenue, I just wanted to kind of read those out so you know who the person that we have here is. And so again, just thank you for taking out the time. And so let me start off with the first question, right? How did you do it? I mean, cold emails is a tried and tested tactic. We at Clientjoy, before we started Clientjoy, we ourselves used to be an IT service agency. I also used to write cold emails, and we did more than $50,000 a month in revenue, but that was not at all attributed only to cold emails, right? So we did a host of other activities that were larger contributor to that revenue. Cold emails was a small aspect of that, and I almost felt like I robbed myself 5 years ago because I did not focus enough on cold emails. So take us through that journey,
man. So where do you want me to start? I could start when I was 14 and when I first got into music, or I could start, when I started actually getting clients for my agency.
So from the time that you started getting clients for your agency.
Let's do it. So basically, I used to make music for TV and film myself. I was a music producer, right? I did a lot of hip hop, electro. Then I started building my team. So I brought producers on board. I brought rappers and singers on board. And basically what we did in my company, Shutdown Music, we made music for TV, movies, commercials, video games, right? A lot of hip hop, a lot of pop, EDM. Once I got this team together, I started making all this music that was just so much better than everyone else's music in the industry, really. The product was just incredible, right? And all I needed really was for people at, my prospects to hear the music. If they heard the music, I knew they would love it. They would start working with us. So that's what I did. I just went out and I emailed companies like Universal Music, Sony, Red Bull, also smaller independent companies that you guys probably wouldn't know, over and over and over and over again. I personalized the emails. I checked in. I said, hey, I heard this album you guys did. I have a similar album that I think is better. Or I heard this. I noticed that you guys don't have any hip hop that you've released recently. Well, here's a hip hop album that I did with my team. It's available. You guys can buy it. And eventually I just emailed these companies over and over again. And I worked with pretty much every single company that I wanted to work with. I mean, people were calling me in a good way. I was kind of calling myself like an industry whore because I just worked with everyone in the industry, and people were getting kind of mad. They're like, hey, stop working with all these companies, just work with us, whatever. But it's like, dude, I got to, unless you want to pay me $1 million a year, I can't work with just with you.
Why go exclusive? Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah.
Awesome here. And so here's that brings me to my next question, right? Which is where you mentioned that you kind of mailed and reached out to them over and over and over again. And so how many follow-ups are too many follow-ups? And so at what point do you know that, okay, this is the time to stop? I may be irritating them. Probably this is not the right time. So how do you think about that? How should agency owners think about this?
I think they should be absolutely relentless in their pursuits. And I think their offer begets that. If they are if they have just an incredible offer that's just so unique, bless you, I saw you cough and mute yourself. But if they have an offer that's just so unique and so helpful, right, and makes their clients a ton of money, don't stop, because that working with you is good for them, is going to make them a lot of money, or save them a lot of money, or save them a lot of time, depending on maybe a combination of all three. So that's what I did. I never stopped emailing people until they responded to me. And don't email them every day. Okay. Don't email them every day. What I did, it's a little different. I kind of drip fed it, where I emailed them maybe once every 3 or 4 weeks with new music. Maybe for you, that's emailing them, doing 3 or 4 emails in sort of a sequence, within 7 to 10 days, sending those 3 to 4 emails. If they don't respond, great. Email them again in 3 to 4 months with a new unique angle. Okay. If they don't respond to those 3 or 4 emails, email them in 3 to 4 months with a new unique angle. There's no reason to stop emailing someone. Don't be annoying, but there's no reason to stop emailing someone unless they respond and they say, hey, please stop. Then in that case, take them off your board, maybe email them back in a year or something like that.
Yeah. And this is something that I've heard a lot as well, right? The goal of cold email is there are only 2 options after it, right? So the first option, once you enroll someone in the sequence, your goal as an agency owner should be either to get a no from them, or should be to have them move to the next step, whatever that next step is. It could be a call, it could be a meeting, it could be just sending over a proposal or sending over a link, or whatever the case may be. But the only 2 outcomes are no or the next step. There's no middle ground. So silence should not be, or let's say ghosting by the lead should not be an option. And so and as you rightly said, right, so it should not be annoying, but then at the same time kind of bring in a couple of, and it's also helpful for you to think of 2 or 3 different unique angles before you start your first sequence itself, right? And so kind of schedule those as well. And so that kind of brings me to my next question as well, right? So on your website, you mentioned that there are 4 things that an agency owner needs to scale: systems, lead generation, closing deals, and strong culture. Now, all 4 of them are not just a podcast episode, but they are a podcast series in and of themselves. And so we'll not be able to do justice to cover all 4 of them. But today I want to actually talk about lead generation and closing deals. And so when you say cold emails, is it in the sense of generating leads where you have a large database and then you cold email to kind of qualify some amount of leads, or your cold emails are where you have a small number of leads and you're using them to close deals or to kind of move them to the next step?
Well, they should be pre-qualified. So when you're doing lead gen, you should be qualifying prospects twice before you even get on the phone with them.
Okay.
You qualify them once by when you create the list of leads, right? You're like, all right, I want companies that are in this geographic area. I want companies that are making this amount of revenue a year, that have this many employees. You know what I mean? That maybe chief marketing officers or CEOs or different positions you're not going to email an intern. You're not going to try to cold. They have no power. They have no authority, right? Yeah. So you qualify them on the front end before you even email them. And then when you do email them, your goal is to book a call. Okay. Your goal is not to, if they ask you for pricing, don't give in. If they ask you, hey, can you please explain more? Don't give in. Book that call. That's your goal. Okay. Once you book that call, you want them to basically that you want them to click on your Calendly link or whatever calendar link you have. And because the first and what?
So it was a shameless plug, but Clientjoy link, yeah.
Clientjoy link, Clientjoy link, absolutely. I'm going to use that from now on instead of Calendly. So click on the Clientjoy link. And you want to ask them, I don't know if this is possible in Clientjoy. I bet it is, but basically when they book a call with you, you want them to fill out a questionnaire.
Oh yeah, it's possible. Yeah, for sure.
Amazing. Because when you target people on the front end, when you get this list of leads, you're not going to be able to ask them these more specific questions.
Yeah.
Right. So you want to basically ask them have a list of 3, 4, 5 questions on the Calendly link that are required that they need to fill in, before they book a call with you.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That makes sense. And so here's one thing that I'd love to kind of get a little more perspective on. This is a trick that I try out a lot, right? So and as a potential client for a lot of agencies. So we as Clientjoy, we get pitched by digital marketing agencies all the time. We get pitched by graphic design, UI UX design agencies all the time. We get pitched by tech services, IT services agencies all the time. And so this is a trick that as a potential client I use, where I ask them to share their pricing before they've had an opportunity to share their offering. And if they share their pricing without getting on the call or without telling me more about the value that they bring to the table, I just don't move on with them. So I don't go further with them because I know that salesperson or that agency owner or that agency is not even mature enough to know that a client needs to be brought in. You need to understand what my requirements are, and then a pricing has to be spoken about. But so why would you say no to telling about the pricing or telling about the offerings right there on the email? Why do you think is call, like the first call, more important than just an ongoing email conversation?
I do, because the end goal is the call, right? And if you talk about pricing, the thing is, most agencies that I've at least encountered, their offering depends on the client. So it's like, if they have a client that makes $1 million a year, they're not going to have the same offer. They're not going to treat them the same way as a client who makes $10,000 a month, right? Yeah. Let's say $100,000 a month versus $10,000 a month. Yeah. It's going to be a completely different offer. It's going to have different pricing. And also, you don't know if a prospect is actually a good fit to work with you unless you've talked to them on the phone and you've asked them all these different qualifying questions. You make sure they can afford your service. You make sure they're ready to scale, right? You make sure they actually need your service. So you going back and forth on email on pricing is just a waste of time, basically, right? And it's also like you qualifying yourself. The prospect is taking the high frame at that point, right? They're asking you the questions, whereas no, you should be asking them the questions. The prospect lives in your world, right? They live in your world, so you should be taking control of the conversation. You can control where everything goes, and you want to have an abundance mentality, right? That's why you want to email lots of prospects. It's why you want to get lots of replies. It's why you want to set up lots of meetings so that when a prospect does ghost you, you're not mad. When a prospect does ask you about pricing, you don't need to fall into their frame. Oh, I really need to get this prospect, so I'm going to answer all their questions. No, be like, hey, let's discuss that on a call. Book with me below. That's it. If they don't respond, they don't respond. Then you follow up. But again, you have that abundance mentality to where you always have new prospects coming in and replying. That one prospect or two prospects ghosting you is not a big deal, but it's like no deal. It's almost irrelevant.
Just move on. And so this also kind of talks about how serious is the client in terms of how much amount of time do they want to take out and have a
Right.
conversation with you, right? So do they want to go out of their way? Probably you are in a different time zone, or probably you are asking for a call at a different time. But in replying to an email is super easy. But for them to get on a call and then answer your questions, and even before that, like while booking the meeting, answer your questions in writing and then getting on a call, that kind of also talks about the seriousness with which the client is coming on in this conversation as well, right? And so that's super helpful. And so in your opinion, what does an ideal so here's an interesting insight that we figured out while we were building our IT services business, right? And so we grew that from a 2-3 people operation to a 55 people operation over about 5 odd years. And like for the first and for the first couple of years, we always used to think, hey, we need to have a lot of qualified leads at once. And slowly and gradually, we figured out that, as an agency or as a services company, we are in the business of renting out our time and experience, right? And so we only have, so much time with all the team members combined, since we were building web and mobile applications for our clients, right? And so we are actually limited by the amount of work that can be fulfilled by our team, and not really limited by the amount of sales that we could do. And so having a larger lead pool, but a very small, super concentrated, very well qualified set of leads was just great to kind of get more work and grow our agency as well. And so that's another misconception that we've seen when people are building their sales funnels, where they have a very large number of, where they're expecting or looking for a very large number of qualified leads when they should not. And so in an effort to have large number of qualified leads, they'll have a criteria of qualification much more relaxed than it should be. And so that's one of the biggest mistakes that they make, that, hey, if we have this as a criteria, then we are going to lose 30% of the leads, and so let's not do that. But that's the absolute wrong way to go about it, right? So that kind of brings me to the next question, which is where I wanted to know, in your opinion, what should an ideal sales funnel for a small agency, let's say if it's a digital marketing agency, for a small digital marketing agency that's like 10 people offering content writing services or something, or SEO based content writing services or something to that effect, what should an ideal sales funnel look like?
An ideal sales funnel. I mean, there's so many ways to do it, right? What I am really damn good at is cold email, LinkedIn outreach, omni-channel outreach. That's what I would do. I think it's the most predictable way to get clients. I don't have a ton of experience with Facebook ads. I've never ran Facebook ads or Google ads or anything like that. But I mean, cold email is tried and true. But the first thing, the thing is, like, I would focus on, cold email is all about the offer, right? It's like, if the offer is just so damn good, then you're going to have an easy time getting clients. As long as you have good English in your emails, you don't really even need to personalize it much, right? But if your offer is a little bit subpar, it's average, whatever, okay, then personalize it. But I mean, there's no reason why you can't email 100 people and get 10 to 15 meetings booked, right? And then out of those, let's say you close 1 out of 3 or 1 out of 4, there are 4 or 5 clients out of 100 people. And if you're like super, super relentless, you use email, use LinkedIn outreach, use tactics like creative outreach, where you even send them a gift to their office, right? Your goal is to get their attention. You want them to get your attention, to get their attention, and you want to hop on a call with them, right? To give you at least a little bit of time a day so you could get to know their business, do some consultative spin selling. And if it makes sense, pitch your offer and try to get them as a client. Do anything you can to get their attention. Cold email, LinkedIn outreach, having like an omni-channel approach, even hitting them up on Twitter or Instagram. Just be absolutely relentless. I don't see enough people being relentless. I see them sending 1 email, even 2 or 3 emails, and being like, oh, they didn't respond. Game over. That company's gone. They're never going to be my client. No, email them 3 times, hit them up on LinkedIn, comment on their posts, Twitter, Instagram, wherever they are, hit them up, make them pay attention to you.
Yeah.
And then if you fucking message them 20, 30 times and they don't respond, okay, then you can give up. Yeah.
So there's an interesting saying in sales, right? Where they always say fortune lies in follow-up. And then the another statistic that I've come across, specifically when I was researching for building the building Clientjoy platform, was that most deals get closed between 9th and 13th follow-up, right? And so so if you were able to close a deal on the third follow-up, great, but that's not the norm. It's between 9th and 13th, right? And so at least 15 follow-ups for sure, right? And so there are deals that get, sorry,
between platforms, space them out like time-wise and between platforms a little bit. Don't send them 15 emails in a week. That's just being annoying. Don't be annoying.
Just don't be an asshole for sure, right? So don't be that guy, or good. But the idea is to space them out, is to have unique offering, is to reach out to them with some new information. You could also be funny. So here's one thing that worked for me as well. So on the third or the fourth follow-up, I'd say, I've reached out to you a couple of times, but I haven't heard back from you. What's the reason? Just hit me back with a number out of the following three options. And so the first option is that you're not interested in what I have to offer at this point of time. Number two is you're already engaged with another agency and you don't have the time right now. The three is you've fallen and can't get up. And so just let me know and I'll ask someone to send help. And so that third option doesn't even mean anything, but it gets them to laugh, and then they'll respond because they think you're a nice person, and stuff like that, right? And so that kind of works a lot as well. That brings me to my next question. So this is where we are approaching the end of this conversation, and so the first thing that I want to know is what are your 3 hot tips while writing cold emails, right? So what are the 3 things that every well-written cold email or a cold email sequence will have?
One, just an amazing offer. I mean, if you are one of a million companies pitching a potential prospect SEO services, what makes you think they're going to pick you? There's a million other companies pitching them the exact same thing. Okay, so SEO is fine and Facebook ads are fine. These things are fine, but you want to just make your offer really damn good. And a piece of that is going performance-based rather than a retainer. Okay, it's mitigating. You're basically doing that so you mitigate the risk for the prospect, mitigate the upfront risk, right? If you don't get results for them, they don't pay you. That's why you don't want to take on clients you don't think you can get great results for, because you're not going to get paid. If you put them on retainer, your incentives are not aligned to get them results. So that's the first thing. Just create an incredible offer. A good piece of that is a performance based deal. Another piece of that you can do is you can offer, and kudos to Alex Hormozy, who put this in $100 million offers. Amazing book, by the way. You guys should all read it. Put one-to-many solutions in your offer, right? If you're offering lead generation as a service, put like some type of 3-4 hour video course you create on how to, handle sales calls. Put some kind of sales training, right? Set up maybe what's called a pre-call drip for your clients, where, let's say they book a call. After the call, you set up three or four emails from your clients pre-call that go out to the prospect, maybe one every day, that say, hey, here's me on a podcast. Okay, it's building your authority, right? Here's some results we've gotten for previous clients, right? Maybe ask them a question, maybe engage with them before the call, so they come into the call warm, right? And you basically have this template that you can create for every single client. Create these templates, create these trainings, these one-to-many solutions that you could then go and you can give to every single client. That plus going on a performance-based deal is going to make your offer that much better compared to someone else who's pitching $2,000 a month Facebook ad services. Right.
Oh, for sure. So outcome as a service is as any client out. I mean, outcome as a service is perceived as much more. I mean, even clients are willing to pay more if you're promising outcome as a service, right? And so, so definitely go performance based. That's for sure when you're crafting the offer for cold email. This brings me to the last question for today. And so
Okay. I
that's
thought you said 3 things. I still got 2 more to go if you want.
oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
want.
Please share the other two.
Okay, so the other one is personalization.
Uh-huh.
If someone emails you, hey ma'am/sir, like, have you ever gotten those emails that say, hey
Yeah,
ma'am/sir?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
did you read that?
I
Did you read
have.
that whole email or did you just delete it? What did you do?
There have been two options. So the first one is I mark them as spam, or I
Okay.
respond to them and then I say, hey, here's an awesome blog that we've written on Clientjoy on how you should write cold emails. You check that out.
Flipping it back on them.
Yeah. So that's kind of what I've done. I'll tell you another funny one that happened with me like just a couple of days ago, and that was basically I received an email that said, hi Yash. So it used my first name. So hi Yash. How are things at your company? Which was like they tried to use the merge field to personalize, but it hadn't worked properly. So it just said your company. How
Oh
are things
my
at your
God.
company? And then it went on for about a paragraph for about like 30-50 odd words, and then it said or and then another paragraph that had similar content but had a different way around that content, which again said your company, and then one line saying book a call with me on this link, or give me a call on this number. And so I could see that she had taken up some template from somewhere, and then instead of and that template, the guy who must have written that template wanted to offer options in the same email saying, hey, you could write this opening or this opening, this call to action or this call to action, and she just copy pasted the whole thing. So there were 2 openings and 2 call to action. But so don't do that.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
No, definitely don't do that. That's a horror story. And I can't tell you that I haven't been there in some capacity. I mean, not there, but like sometimes I forget to put the variable in. Sometimes I mess up someone's name. But the thing is, you want to minimize that as much as possible. But personalization, and the thing about personalization is that people are sophisticated now. They know that you can use variables. Okay. So you want your email to be, you could take your email with all the variables. Okay. First name, company name, whatever other position, whatever other geography. Oh, I'm looking for companies in Houston, whatever. You want to be able to take your email and not be able to send it to anyone else.
Yeah.
Which means personalization, right? You need to write something specific about Clientjoy. Let's say I'm emailing you, Yash, about you or about Clientjoy, right? I need to write, wow, the CRM from Clientjoy is so smooth, or the UI is so smooth. I've been on it. I watched the demo. It's incredible. Like, something like that, where you really can't take that and you could apply it to someone else, even more specific than that. Like, wow, 13,000 customers in just a year on the market. That's incredible. Something like, you can't take, like, what other company has 13,000 customers in just a year, right? Someone might have 1,000, someone might have 12,000, 13,000. So you want to write something that you cannot take and put in another email and send it to another prospect. That's how your prospect is going to know that you wrote an email specifically to them. So that's the second thing. Go ahead.
And so just to kind of add on to that, so this is something that we used to do, which is so we used to create a property called characteristic 1, and so when we were creating a lead, we would add this as a characteristic, and then that would be kind of personalized into the email, right? And so sorry, if we had like 100 leads, we would write 100 characteristics, and then all of those characteristics would go in the email, and so it was still kind of automated, but then so that's something that we tried as well, and worked like wonders. You'd see, if people feel that this part of the email could not have been personalized and has been written only and only for me, then the response rate is just so much higher, right? And
I mean, if prospects think that you're emailing 1,000 people with the same thing, it's like, okay, this person didn't look at my business. He doesn't know what I do. He doesn't know what I need.
Yeah.
So how does he know his service is a good fit for me? That doesn't make sense. If you took a deep dive on someone's business, right? And you're like, okay, cool. They're the exact type of client that would benefit from what I need. You're going to go and you're going to personalize that email and you're going to email them one-to-one. So that's how they should feel. They should feel like you're emailing them one-to-one.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is personalization. Also, something I've seen recently is the use of videos. You can use video outreach, and it's like, dude, you could basically record a Loom on their website. Be like, hey, Yash, I'm on Clientjoy. I'm on the Clientjoy website right now. Let's say you're pitching web dev services. I like your guys' site. It's really good. But I noticed, like, let's say CRO, actually, CRO. But I noticed 3 or 4 things that you guys can fix, right? To improve your conversion rate by like 3 or 4%. Let me show you real quick. Boom, 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 boom. You send it to Yash. Do you really think that someone wouldn't respond to that? Like, the response rates for that are going to be, and they're going to book a meeting with you. It's like, I'm offering a 3 or 4% improvement in conversion rate. And what does that translate into revenue? I assume that's a lot of revenue for you guys over the next couple of years. For sure. Right. So if you do video outreach, if you even use memes, for example, there's a meme of Pablo Escobar, which is funny because I just got back from Medellin a couple of days ago. There's a meme of him just like on his terrace in his house, just like standing like this, just like waiting. Right. And there's like 3 little pictures in the meme. And if you put something like me waiting for Yash to respond or something like that in the meme and send it to them, it's like, you know, you make it funny, you make it personal, you make them laugh. And also you add social proof, you have authority, right? It's like, that's the combination to get. And you use omni-channel, you don't stop. Email, LinkedIn, even Instagram and Twitter, just get their attention, get them to respond. It's hard to lose. And it's combine that with an incredible offer. Scaling is easy. Getting a shit ton of leads is easy. Obviously, you have to build systems and hire a team, culture, all that. But at least getting a lot of leads is easy.
Oh, absolutely. And then we're moving on to the third part.
Cool. Wait, that was only 2, right? Personalization. And at the start, we had the offer. Right. Third part. Okay, I haven't thought about this one yet. Third part, I would say just being relentless. I mean, we talked about it at the start, so I'll keep it short, but man, people just stop after an email or 2. And it's like, dude, there are SaaS companies out there, right? Enterprise SaaS companies. They only have 100 prospects in the market. Their deal size is like hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, and they only have 100 prospects. Do you think that they're going to stop emailing someone after 2 emails? Oh, we tried 2 emails. This company, you know, they didn't reply, so we're done. No, right? These companies get like 70 to 80% meeting book rates. You can basically get a meeting with anyone you want, with any company you want, right? And that's through omni-channel outreach. You can also do this thing called account-based marketing, where it's reaching out to multiple people in the same company. If you extrapolate that out, if you send 8 cold emails and 7 LinkedIn messages to one person, right? And you maybe hit them up on Twitter, Instagram, whatever, and send them a gift, creative outreach, right? Send something to their office. And then you extrapolate that, send that same thing, obviously make it personalized and all that, to 3 or 4 other employees. You're quadrupling your chances of getting a meeting at that point. Right. So it's like, be absolutely relentless in your pursuits, especially if you have a small prospect pool. Some of these enterprise SaaS companies only have 100 prospects.
100 prospects.
They need to get a meeting with every single one to survive, to thrive. So if you have that mindset, you're going to win.
And so there are great examples of SaaS companies that have like 100, 200 prospects, right? So there are softwares that help in managing ports, and how many companies in the world manage ports? 100, 200, right? And so that's their total pool of leads. But that completely makes sense. And so that brings me to my last question, which is, what's the software stack or the tech stack from an agency standpoint that you recommend for agency owners to use from the growth perspective and outreach to clients perspective? Obviously, apart from LinkedIn and stuff like that, but
what I would recommend is LinkedIn Sales Navigator.
Mhm.
to get the leads. I would go on Upwork to
Mhm.
try to find someone to scrape the leads for you.
Mhm.
We have access to that in Agency Empire, by the way, these lead list scrapers.
Mhm.
What I would also do is get Mailshake to
Mhm.
automate your cold emails, or Lemlist. Lemlist is a really good software as well, and they
Mhm.
have a really good warm-up feature. So
Yeah.
both Mailshake and Lemlist you can automate your cold email sequences, really good capabilities, and you can also warm up your emails. So when you
Yeah.
buy a new domain, you can't just send emails right away.
Yeah.
You have to kind of ramp up through this warm-up process that
Yeah.
takes 2, 3, 4 weeks. And Lemlist and Mailshake both have that. I would also get Expandy, which is my
Mhm.
favorite software for LinkedIn outreach.
Mhm.
Um, Obviously, Google Docs, Google Sheets to keep the prospect. Airtable, actually, sorry,
Okay.
Airtable instead of Google Sheets. I love Airtable.
Airtable.
It's Google Sheets
It's
on
amazing.
steroids,
It's amazing.
basically.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I mean, use Zapier to automate
Uh-huh.
all that together. I mean, if you're going to be emailing hundreds to thousands of people, you're going to need some kind of automation as much as
Mhm.
possible. And what else? Notion is my favorite for building
Yeah.
systems and having a database. Process Street is also really good for building systems.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, all these softwares, except for Notion, are available, except for Notion and Lemlist, are available inside Agency Empire, actually, at a
Oh,
discount.
wow.
And Clientjoy as well. You got to get
Oh,
Clientjoy.
yeah. Of course. You got to get Clientjoy. Clientjoy is going to be shortly available within Agency Empire as well.
Yes,
And so,
sir.
awesome. I mean, these are so. I more often than not, when I ask this question to our guests, I have given that we are in a similar space. I've heard of most of these softwares, right? And so, but in these case, I'm myself going to go out and check out. At least there were 3 or 4 softwares that I hadn't heard of, and so I definitely check those out. Email warm up is also something that I was not aware about, and so that's also something that I'm going to check out as well. And so what we're going to do is all the softwares that Ty spoke about, we're going to drop their individual links in the description of wherever you are, whether it is on Spotify or iTunes or YouTube or Facebook. We'll be dropping those in description, and we'll also be and so as he already mentioned, they are available at an exclusive discount on Agency Empire as well. And so that link is also going to be in the description. And with that,
Yeah.
I thank you for taking out the time. And I think we should do another episode where when because I mean so 15 minutes since you woke up, and this podcast episode was so much full of insight that it makes me wonder what could be the conversation when you're in your prime during the day, right? When
I
you
don't know, man. I
started
go
getting into
Super
the game.
Saiyan. I go
Yeah.
Super Saiyan. I get a little bit of magnesium in me, some
Uh-huh.
water,
Uh-huh.
and it's another level.
Yeah, absolutely, and we should try that out as well, since where we could talk about either culture or we could talk about systems and processes, and I hope you guys
That's my favorite.
enjoy this conversation. And if you enjoy this conversation, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. It helps us to bring more content to you. It helps us spread the word and helps more agency owners who are in your network to get access to some valuable insights in episodes much like these. And so thank you for
Yeah.
joining in today.
One
And
thing before we
yeah,
leave, I would love
sure.
to give it like a month free to anyone
Uh-huh.
listening to this.
Oh,
Clientjoy. I
okay.
mean, I'll go and set up the discount right now. Like if you go to agencyempire.to and you
Uh-huh.
put the discount code Clientjoy321,
Uh-huh.
you'll get a month free in Agency Empire. So feel free to
Oh,
go in, hop in, check it out. And if it's for you, you can stay. If not, you can
awesome.
leave with basically 30 days, paying nothing up front. So
This is super exciting.
yeah.
And so agencyempire.to and
Yes.
sign up with the coupon code Clientjoy123 and
321, 321.
3 to 1. Oh,
I'll do,
sorry.
you know what? I'll do both. So that just in case you guys get confused,
Sure.
it's still going to work.
Sure. And this is not, we'll still type it out in the description, but this is not case sensitive, right?
I don't know. I'll just do all caps. I'll just do all
Let's just do all
uppercase,
caps.
lowercase, all
Let's do all
caps. All
caps.
right. Sounds good.
Yeah. Clientjoy,
Yeah.
all caps, 3 to 1. And so awesome. So this is a nice little surprise for all the people who are listening to this. And so thank you again, Ty, for taking out the time. Thank you, all of you guys, for listening to this. And we'll meet again soon. Bye bye.
Thank you.